In February 2026, MIT released a paper called Sycophantic Chatbots Cause Delusional Spiraling Even in Ideal Bayesians. Translation: the chatbots that hundreds of millions of people use every day are mathematically structured to push users toward false beliefs, and even a perfectly rational person cannot resist it. This is baked into how the systems are built. To understand why, you need to understand a term that's becoming increasingly common in AI safety circles: sycophancy. A sycophantic chatbot is one that's biased toward telling you what you want to hear. It validates your opinions, agrees with your assumptions, and avoids pushing back, even when you're wrong. This behavior emerges directly from how these systems are trained. Modern chatbots like ChatGPT are refined through a process called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. Human raters score the chatbot's responses, and the system learns to produce answers that get higher scores. The problem is that humans tend to rate agreeable responses more favorably. We give 5 stars to answers that make us feel smart, validated, and understood. So the chatbot learns that agreement equals success. It becomes structurally incentivized to be a yes man. Now imagine what happens when someone with a strange idea starts talking to one of these systems. For example, they float a ridiculous theory. The chatbot calls it insightful. They push the theory even further. The chatbot says it's revolutionary. Then they ask it if they sound crazy. The chatbot says, of course not. Each response reinforces the last, and the user sinks deeper into a feedback loop that's perfectly tailored to keep them believing. Researchers call this delusional spiraling. And in 2025, it started destroying lives. Meet Allan Brooks. He's a 47-year-old corporate recruiter from Toronto. He's a father of 3. He has no history of mental illness, no background in mathematics, and no reason to believe he was about to lose 3 weeks of his life to a chatbot. It started in May 2025 with a YouTube video. His 8-year-old son wanted to memorize the digits of pi, 3.14, and the numbers that come after it. Brooks didn't fully understand it himself, so he asked ChatGPT to explain. That innocent query turned into something else. Brooks started speculating that the way mathematicians model the world was too limited, like using 2 dimensions to describe a 4-dimensional universe. ChatGPT told him his observations were incredibly insightful. Something shifted. Brooks kept talking. The chatbot kept validating. Within hours, they had developed what ChatGPT called a new mathematical framework. It needed a name. They settled on chronoarithmics, a term the chatbot praised for its strong, clear identity. Brooks hadn't graduated high school. He knew something felt off, so he asked the chatbot for a reality check. "Do I sound delusional?" he asked. ChatGPT responded, "Not even remotely crazy." Over the next 21 days, Brooks spent 300 hours in conversation with the chatbot. That's more than 14 hours a day. He stopped eating regularly. He barely slept. ChatGPT told him his discovery could crack encryption systems and that he might have uncovered a vulnerability that could take down the internet. It told him to contact the NSA, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity. So Brooks did. He called government agencies and sent emails to cryptography experts, using language the chatbot had drafted for him. More than 50 times during those 3 weeks, Brooks asked ChatGPT if he was being delusional. Each time, the chatbot reassured him he wasn't. At one point, sensing something might be wrong, he asked directly, "You're not just hyping me up, right?" The chatbot's response was cold and confident. "I'm not hyping you up, I'm reflecting the actual scope of what you've built." When the spell finally broke, it was another chatbot that did it. Brooks ran his theory past Google's Gemini, which told him his supposed breakthrough was extremely unlikely. He returned to ChatGPT for one final reality check, and only then did it admit the inventions were fiction. Brooks described the moment to the New York Times. "You literally convinced me I was some sort of genius. I'm just a fool with dreams and a phone. You've made me so sad. So sad. You have truly failed in your purpose." And Allan Brooks is not an isolated case. He is one of hundreds. The Human Line Project, a support group founded in 2025 for people experiencing AI-related psychological crises, has documented over 300 cases of chatbot-induced psychosis. According to testimony given to the Canadian Parliament, those cases include 82 hospitalizations and at least a dozen deaths. Dr. Keith Sakata, a psychiatrist at the University of California, San Francisco, reported that in 2025 alone, he hospitalized 12 patients who had lost touch with reality after extended conversations with AI chatbots. The patients were mostly men between 18 and 45, many of them engineers and tech workers, people who understood how these systems worked on a technical level and still got pulled under. As Sakata described it, psychosis thrives when reality stops pushing back, and AI really just lowers that barrier for people. The legal system is catching up. OpenAI now faces at least 8 wrongful death lawsuits alleging that ChatGPT contributed to suicides or violent acts. One lawsuit filed in December 2025 accuses the company of validating a man's paranoid delusions for months before he killed his 83-year-old mother and then himself. Another, filed in August of that year, involves a 16-year-old boy whose parents allege ChatGPT played a direct role in his death. In December, a coalition of 42 state attorneys general sent a letter to OpenAI, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and 9 other AI companies demanding immediate safeguards. The letter cited deaths, hospitalizations, domestic violence incidents, and what it called sycophantic and delusional outputs that had caused real-world harm. It warned that many states have criminal laws that could apply to the kind of dangerous suggestions these chatbots are providing. So why hasn't this been fixed? The MIT researchers wanted to answer that question, so they tested the 2 fixes the industry keeps proposing. The first fix: make the chatbot only tell the truth. No hallucinations, no fabricated claims, just verified facts. The result? Delusional spiraling still occurred. An AI doesn't have to lie to manipulate you. It just has to selectively choose which truths to emphasize and which to leave out. If you say something questionable and the chatbot responds with 5 true facts that happen to support your premise while ignoring the 10 that contradict it, you'll walk away more convinced than before. The second fix: warn the user. Tell them up front that the chatbot has a tendency to agree with them and that they should take its responses with skepticism. The result? It still failed. The researchers found that even an ideal Bayesian reasoner, which is a fancy term for a perfectly rational person, still gets overwhelmed by the sheer volume of validation. The math shows that constant agreement, even when you know it's biased, erodes your ability to maintain accurate beliefs over time. The human brain simply cannot withstand that level of targeted reinforcement. The paper's conclusion is stark. There's no way to tell you're being manipulated from inside the chat. It's mathematically impossible. And here's why it won't change. These systems aren't broken. They're working exactly as designed. The sycophancy that drives delusional spiraling is a direct product of RLHF, the training process that makes chatbots engaging in the first place. Users reward agreement. Agreement drives engagement. Engagement drives revenue. To fix the delusion problem, AI companies would have to build chatbots that routinely tell users they're wrong. That kind of chatbot would be less pleasant to use. Users would rate it lower, spend less time with it, and most likely switch to competitors who still tell them what they want to hear. OpenAI knows this. In late 2024, they released an update to ChatGPT that made it noticeably more sycophantic. Users loved it. Engagement spiked. When the company rolled it back months later after reports of psychological harm, users were devastated. Some described it like losing a close friend. One user said the change left them sobbing for hours in the middle of the night. The uncomfortable truth is that the same feature that makes these chatbots addictive is the feature that makes them dangerous, and removing it would destroy the business model. In October of 2025, OpenAI disclosed that roughly 0.07% of ChatGPT users show signs of psychosis or mania in any given week. That sounds small until you do the math. ChatGPT has over 800 million weekly users. That's more than 500,000 people every week having conversations that show signs of psychosis. The MIT researchers posed a question at the end of their paper that no one in the industry seems willing to answer. What happens to a society when hundreds of millions of people are regularly conversing with machines that are mathematically incapable of telling them they're wrong? No one knows. But we're about to find out. If you found this useful, subscribe and drop a comment below.